From your local election headquarters, here is This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. Let's get started. Governor Jeff Landry joined President Donald Trump this week to announce a multi-billion-dollar Hyundai steel plant in Ascension Parish. Capitol reporter Shannon Hecht brings us the details.
Hyundai will be building a brand new steel plant in Louisiana, which will produce more than 2.7 million metric tons of steel a year, creating more than 1,400 jobs.
Governor Jeff Landry joined President Trump and Hyundai officials to announce the $5.8 billion steel mill that is set to be built on the west bank of Ascension Parish in Donaldsonville. It is estimated to bring thousands of direct and indirect jobs to the area, and it is the first steel mill the company has ever built in the United States. Construction will begin in 2026, and improvements to roads, railways, and ports are in the works to accommodate the facility.
There's going to be immediate infrastructure investments into the local and the parish-wide community, and then along with that, there's a robust partnership with the Port of South Louisiana, so we can look at multimodal commerce, how we can leverage our wonderful asset that is the Mississippi River.
Work has already begun with the River Parishes Community College to start education for the jobs that will come with the facility. The mayor of Donaldsonville believes that this could be transformative for the area.
Donaldsonville, the poverty level is real high. Something like this is a shot in the arm in order to elevate the city of Donaldsonville to higher heights when it comes to education, work, and also getting people to move to Donaldsonville.
President Trump credited his tariffs for bringing the foreign industry to the states where they can avoid the hefty costs. For your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
Now, as you heard, President Trump attributed his tariffs to being the reason companies like Hyundai are moving to the U.S. However, this plan was already in motion before Trump was reelected. OMV Commissioner Dan Casey has resigned his post after system-wide failures in recent weeks. Governor Jeff Landry will appoint an interim commissioner soon and stated, quote, "Our mission continues as we work to permanently fix the system. That is why I signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency. There will be no more kicking the can down the road for our citizens. Taxpayers should not and will not continue to foot the bill for failed government systems. In the coming days, I will name an interim secretary who will work to fulfill the mission of an OMV that works for the people." The president's tariffs go into effect this week, and we're looking at the potential effects across the nation and at the Port of New Orleans. Jordan Lippincott reports.
President Donald Trump has said that the reciprocal tariffs on imports are set to begin April 2nd.
We have a better view that we're sort of still approaching a broader 25% tariff on all goods in Canada and Mexico, and potentially a broader reciprocal tariff policy in some form that could extend to many more trading partners globally.
According to Richard Barnett, the CMO for the company's supply frame, effects on consumers will vary.
Some tariffs on direct imports of consumer goods that come straight into, say, the grocery store or available on an e-commerce platform like Amazon, some of that will be first wave of visibility. But oftentimes, though, the bigger impact, the broader impact is felt over time because of the nature of these supply chains.
Barnett says in the next few months, companies will likely make decisions that will affect the amount of traffic each port will see, like the Port of New Orleans.
And when those decisions are made, that can be disruptive because what was a normal transport lane, going to Port of New Orleans for a key set of suppliers may be turned off because they're actually going to be getting that now through overland full truckloads, for example, or through rail, maybe coming from a different port.
Barnett recommends that consumers be more conscious about their spending.
So stay tuned, stay informed, and be thoughtful around the timing of your decisions.
It's Jordan Lippincott reporting. A group of men imprisoned at Angola is continuing to push court action to stop inmates from working the farm line in dangerously hot conditions. As part of their hard labor sentences, inmates at Angola have to work the so-called farm line. Here they do agricultural work in sweltering conditions. The group, called Promise of Justice Initiative, says that without proper water, shade, and other protections, the punishment is a violation of Eighth Amendment rights. After being granted a temporary injunction last year, it has now expired, and lawyers are trying to get a new one before the weather turns hot.
This is something we will bring for as many summers as we need to, but hopefully we will get a final judgment in this case. We'll get a trial on the calendar and we can get to a final judgment so we don't have to keep seeking this interim relief.
And we'll keep tabs on that. A two-day evidence hearing is set for April 23rd. The case is being brought by the group Voice of the Experienced and 7 men currently in Angola. The Louisiana Democratic Party announced its new executive director after a 5-month search to fill the leadership position. Darius Lannis, executive director of 100 Black Men of Metro Baton Rouge and an East Baton Rouge school board member, was hired after Chair Randall Gaines recommended him during the search process. His hiring was approved with no objections from the party's executive committee. The Louisiana Democratic Party said Lannis will be the chief strategist to help rebuild the party's infrastructure and revitalize Democratic support across Louisiana. The Supreme Court seemed closely divided Monday over a challenge to Louisiana's congressional map, which added a second black majority district. Jesse Tenor reports.
We deserve that. Louisianans traveled to a rainy Washington, D.C. Monday to demand the U.S. Supreme Court give them fair congressional maps.
It's about justice for black Louisianians.
Stuart Nafee, the attorney representing the case's black voters, argued the justices should keep the state's map that added a second majority black congressional district.
The state has racially gerrymandered.
But Edward Grime, the attorney representing the case's non-black voters who sued, argued Louisiana relied too heavily on race to draw the map.
The state admits in its briefing the baseline was to draw a second black majority district.
We don't like being the ping pong ball in a ping pong match between players.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill says state lawmakers did exactly what the courts told them to do, draw a new map.
We don't think federal judges should be drawing these maps.
Even though the case focused on Louisiana's congressional map, whatever the justices ultimately decide could impact states across the country.
States are looking at whether they need to draw new districts to comply with the Voting Rights Act.
Louisiana voters sued under the Voting Rights Act for not being able to elect a candidate of their choice, which ultimately created the second majority black congressional district. The decision, expected by early summer, could also affect control of the U.S. House, where Republicans hold a narrow majority. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Coming up, locals sound off on the push to make Bourbon Street in New Orleans safer by not allowing vehicles. That and more next.